tell me a little bit about yourself and your company name and where you're from, and we'll just start at that. So, how about you, sir?
My name's Randy Whitener. Our company's GFC Contracting. It started from my family. It was a small flooring business here in San Antonio. We expanded, went all the way up to Dallas. We have a Dallas office. Then we started a general construction side. I graduated from Texas A&M in 2008 with a Parks and Recreation degree. So naturally I went to the construction field. So I'm pretty new to this, but I started working with our contracting division about 3 years ago now, and we do a lot of Air Force Base remodeling across the nation. So I've done multiple Burger King renovations across the nation, and now we're looking to just keep on expanding and kind of going from there, making more money, being successful.
What about you, sir? Could you tell me a little bit about yourself, your name, and your affiliation? You got separate companies?
No. I work for this guy here.
Okay.
My name's Gene Hartley. I work for GFC Contracting. My job right now is to try to bring in new business from whatever sources.
And how long have you been in the business?
In the construction business?
Yes.
I've been affiliated with the construction business one way or another for 30 years.
What is your background?
I'm a CPA with a biology degree.
Wow. What were your expectations?
Yeah, so Gene was here last year in the very first conference with my brother up in Dallas, and my brother told me that it was really informative. A bunch of the big GCs in Dallas were at the class, and if I had a chance I should probably go just to keep expanding my knowledge. And Gene said, yeah, you should come. It's an estimating class, which was a lie. And now I know that it was totally worth it, though. I enjoy the class. It's very knowledgeable. Doug and Sean are great teachers. Real life examples. Monday morning I can jump into bidding more federal projects.
Yes, I'm back, and most of the material is the same, but it's presented in a much organized fashion because most of the material is the same. It's just broadened and deepened, become more detailed, and he's more self-assured and more confident in his presentation. It's not really a class on how to estimate or how to do this specific nuts and bolts thing or that thing. It's how to be successful, how to bring down the roadblocks that people almost intuitively put up in front of themselves. Fear. He's the best at that.
A lot of it in life just is psychology, knowing how to deal with people and their relationships,
and that's what Doug kind of teaches you is communication. Great communicators. And even though that's what I run into a lot is guys saying, well, I've been doing it this way for 30 years, and it's hard getting old school and new school to mix. And I think Doug's got that now at his older age. You know, before he always said that he was full of a lot of testosterone and stuff like that, but now he's great at what he does.
I'm going to ask a question about the tools that you guys have seen in this workshop.
In the first workshop, he presented a lot of forms and ideas and thoughts, and it's worth every penny for those people that really need it.
What would you say your return on investment has been so far? Because you came back, so you've been working in the construction business since you went to the first workshop about 1 year ago, a year and a half ago. What have you accomplished? Have you gotten awards?
Well, we got one contract. It's a BOA contract with the Navy down in Corpus Christi. And I used a lot of the material that he supplied, only I adapted it and extended it to fit the requirements of the solicitation. So I could say without him, I couldn't have obtained that. As far as bidding on the job, on this $320,000 contract that we secured, we made $60,000 on it. My method of bidding was different than the other guys who would have bid the job with 20, 30 years experience. I ripped through it in the same type of fashion that he taught, instead of the old school traditional ways of estimating a project. And we still made lots of money on the project. So there's a lot to learn about that.
So it was a great thing to come here.
Right.
And the project was out of our normal work that we usually do. So now it's just something to put in the portfolio. I mean, it was a traffic light signal. Like I'd never even thought about doing that. Gene pulled it off. I kind of sent out the subcontracts and did whatever I did, but they all did it, and payment was there. We were in and out. It's a good experience.
So are you guys bidding on more smaller scale projects now that you've come to his class, or before were you doing more large scale, or I mean, what has influenced you for that?
I mean, I will now, because before I was just kind of contract administrating, not estimating. I was helping two estimators get all their stuff out. But now I can go ahead and bid on these smaller projects, the 25,000 to 100,000, and kind of start my portfolio until I can get over those $1 million contracts that we all want. From California, Wyoming, Tucson, Florida. This just gives you a better sense of what to expect. And I had kind of gone through that so far, but again, this just shows you, he showed me better ways to get pricing, better way to find subs, just better way to go through bids, estimate. It'll streamline my process that I've already put in place. And people that don't have a process, it'll definitely, the tools are there.
Well, recently, like in the past 8 months, we've bid on, one guy has bid on $12 million worth of work, and he's picked up $1.5 million. That's the traditional way. And his markups, he's not going to make all that much money on this. But with what we've learned here, we're going to go for little stuff with substantial markups. We're going to do a lot of bidding, pick up a few jobs as a ratio to the total amount of jobs that we bid, but we're going to get much higher markups with a lot less actual time spent to see that the job is complete. So it's a win-win situation.
But I do like that there's no bid bond involved.
Yeah, it's just
P&P bonds are a different thing, but bonding isn't an issue, but I like the idea of where I can go ahead and, I mean, Sean put it, you can put a bunch of lines out there, and if you catch one, you have the opportunity to be like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, let me back out of this situation, which I enjoy, and it gives me peace. Because, you know, Doug starts out and he says, well, this is a wind tunnel for NASA. Well, I'm not going to build a wind tunnel for NASA, but at least now I can do smaller things that I can branch out on now. Get out of my comfort zone.
What would you tell other contractors who are kind of unsure about whether this is a good thing for them to enter into?
I think it's the running joke that we're not going to tell anybody to come. I mean, it's such a great tool. The bid tracker, which Gene was kind of around last year, but this year it's great. I mean, it's a compiled list that I don't have to spend time looking for these projects, and I would tell people to come if you want to get your foot in the door of federal work. Great place to start. And if you've got a construction background, it's even better, because I don't. I have a Parks and Rec background, but now I can go bid all these jobs with the Parks and Rec, which I love. So now I can make all that stuff better, and it's win-win for me.
Well, so as a side, what parks have you worked on in Texas?
None of them, but that's the one job we found is that Big Bend, and it turns out Doug did the exact same thing there 10 years ago or something. So he's going to sit there and help me work out using his sub and his pricing, and it's awesome. Between
you and me, Aaron, Doug has a gold mine of contacts with people all across the country. He's a genius as far as the technical aspect of buildings and other types of projects are concerned. To have that resource available to me is pure gold and platinum. I would never tell anybody else about him. Never. Sorry. Aaron.
All right, appreciate it, guys.
You already kind of answered some of the questions I was going to ask, because
Gotcha.
I was going to say, how is this going to, you already did construct federal projects in the past, and I was going to say, how is this going to make it better? And you said, well, we have the tools, we have the bid tracker, it's going to help us.
I mean, it'll just help us expand to projects that were not in our usual scope of works that we would do. Whether it be, you know, I wouldn't have known about them replacing fire sprinklers at Big Bend. Like
Okay.
that's not something that we used to do renovations on Air Force bases. So it was a Burger King's, their mini malls.
The AP's Burger King.
Yeah, AP's, and so we had a IDIQ contract with AP's.
Yeah.
So I've done about 6 of those, and we did a few of the BXs, and that's kind of where we're going now, because all the Burger Kings ran out, because it was a 4-year IDIQ, and they've done most of them. So now we're kind of just looking at new stuff, and now they're doing a lot of the BX remodels. We've done a gas station out at California, which was different also. So this will allow me and cherry pick, I guess is how Sean called it, these easy jobs with limited bidders and a lower risk with higher profits, which is great for me.
You already talked about BidTracker and the obvious benefits of that to you. That helps you find the jobs that you want. But as you said, cherry pick and decide.
And that's a new resource, you know.
As well as decide which jobs you don't want.
Correct.
A more intelligent and efficient way to weed out less desirable. So BidTracker is a good thing to help you find work. But how about the actual bidding? What tools have you picked up here in this course that you didn't know about outside or didn't have accessible to you outside as far as doing the bidding? Once you've decided I want to bid on that and I'm ready to go, what tools have you discovered that
I
will
mean,
help
from the
you?
beginning, just looking at the vendors, what is it called? The vendors that are on the projects?
The interested parties?
Yeah, interested parties. Bam, I can start there and see how many people are interested in this one project.
Okay.
That gives me some sort of idea. From there, he talked about O&M pricing, or OEM pricing, and getting, you know, lower prices and buying more, which kind of seemed like a doable idea. I just didn't know the proper channels to go through.
Okay.
And, you know, we were talking about the 123 Construction or whatever, that website that he gave us. That's all a new sub-website that I've never used, and I've cold called, and I've used Google, and I've looked for subs in every state in remote locations, and I never had come across that website. And I find that hard to believe.